Hey everybody, I just want to make another video regarding NIO, and the reason why I want to do this is because I wanted to go over two things. With employees being cut, which is something Lee Bin has been discussing for the past 2 or 3 weeks now, or longer, and then partnerships in general, okay? So I'm going to start this up by talking about NIO real quick. So people may think that cutting down your costs of operations is a bad thing by reducing employee counts, but it's a really good thing because when you do that, basically when money was easy, you could hire many people as you want and expand the company. Then when money becomes harder and less available due to high interest rates or just the way the economy is currently heading, or just the health of the economy, you might want to reduce your cost of operations, reduce the fat by cutting out employees and other things that you don't really need. So what NIO is doing by cutting 10 to 20% or even more of their inefficient staff that don't hit the numbers that NIO wants, what they're doing is that they're freeing up capital so they can invest more into their current sales force and their current operations in much more efficient ways. This is good because it'll also reflect the company's financials over time in a more positive way. It means that they have more freed up money so they can invest it in other aspects of their company that can yield more return on their investments. We saw this with Mark Zuckerberg's message back in November 9th. There's a lot of bearish news at this time where Meta was laying off tons of employees. The metaverse wasn't a good investment, supposedly, and there's a lot of controversy around Meta at this time being pumped by mainstream media. But we found out that in November, which I was investing personally, not a financial advisor, just my personal point of view, that when there was a lot of negative sentiment during this time, very close to this time of the year actually, but just last year, Mark sent out this message somewhere around this time. A lot of metaverse controversy was going on. A lot of people saying metaverse is going to fail, that it wasn't relevant anymore, and then the company took off. So do with that information as what you will, but the media is probably not on your side, and the goal is to take money from the poor and give it to the rich. And they use it by controlling your emotions. So looking at this right here, if Mark released the data around here that he was releasing employees that were inefficient, and a lot of them were inefficient, hiring staffs that you don't need, useless masseuses, inefficient workers that just didn't provide quality work, whether it be in research and development, customer service, or tech, yeah, it's good to cut those people off. They're not producing anything worthwhile. It's not worth the cost. It's not making the company's return on investment worthwhile. Same thing with NIO. You cut down the operations of people you don't need, and then again, you can free up cash to, give it back to your shareholders or reinvest into the company to expand in more effective ways. So very bullish in my opinion, very good. Not a financial advisor, just my opinion. Another thing I want to talk about is just partnerships in general and why it's so important that we can't just be overlooking these things. A lot of times when NIO does these amazing things, or any company in general, it's such a big deal, okay? So why do I want to talk about partnerships? Because China relied on partnerships for a very long time. A lot of emerging economies or a lot of growing economies do. An example would be after the United States after the Western powers colonized China during the Opium Wars, and then after that, China, under the rule of Deng Xiaoping, I don't really know his name, he collaborated with a lot of United States businesses in order to bring investments and bring technologies over. The agreement between China at that time, as they were trying to reform and catch up economically, was that if United States companies were to bring over, or any Western company or any company or investor was to bring over their factories and manufacturing to China, they would have to share their technology, which creates like a technology spillover effect, which means that it'll help Chinese companies and the Chinese economy because it means that they can not be in a position where it's sort of colonial. It is, but like it's in a position where you give the Chinese people the means of production, not just the means to buy production or produced goods from themselves. So China was doing that, making that a deal, and it was a deal that was supported and wanted by businesses, because it's like, if you want access to cheap Chinese labor and you want access to the Chinese market, then you are going to sign up for these deals of like sharing your technologies and resources to in order as an agreement. So when it comes to patent stealing, I don't really know if there's much truth to that. Like there is some evidence here and there, but has the United States stolen patents before? Yeah, that's how they industrialized. They did that to Britain, remember? So do you think they're still doing this to this day? Probably. Do you think China's still probably doing it? Probably. So moving more into this discussion though, when when China allowed for U.S. companies to come in, they're not gonna have a predatory situation where it's like, okay, here's what Americans would want. Tesla can come to China, use Chinese cheap labor to mass produce Teslas, sell Teslas to Chinese consumers, and then sell Teslas to the United States consumers made in China. And then China can't start up its own electric vehicle companies using its technologies as a base and a framework. No. And Elon Musk or any other business since the dawn of Deng Xiaoping knew exactly what they're getting into. It was part of the deal. So, if you're a businessman from 60 years ago, would you really care? No. It's all about money. And what's wrong with sharing technologies? A lot of the reasons why we have so much hunger in this world is because we don't share technology. We have patents on it to benefit our country, but hey, if people starve, who cares, right? That's what a lot of people in America think. It doesn't matter, it's our patents, bro. It's not right though. And what is right and what is wrong is subjective, but under the human rights laws, it might be kind of wrong, right? So you can have different types of colonialism, whether it be through economics or through military or social. I don't want to get too much into that. Anyway, so do I think the same thing's happening here? Yeah, I do. I think that in order for Chinese companies to expand into US or Western markets or Germany or Europe, they're going to be like, okay, what's in it for me? Because we're going to make a lot of anti-free market capitalist policies. So if you want to come over and sell your vehicles and expand into our country, Germany or the United States, then you're going to have to partner with our companies so we can have the technology spillover effect and have a shared invested interest in your company's success that can help our economy success too. So that we see the same thing going on. XPeng is XPEV is a good example of that. And I think that NIO is probably going to have to partner with a German company as well. Not because I think that they want to, but it could be mutually beneficial. But it's because I think they're going to have to, because China did the same thing where Western countries come to China and they share their technologies and their company shareholder in a sense, right? You're going to have to do the same thing if you're going to try to expand to Germany. So you're going to have to do partnerships and things like that and share the technologies so that so you don't just dominate and monopolize their whole economy, right? Because like, what if NIOs really were better and Chinese electric vehicles really were better than German vehicles, and you just brought all your NIO Chinese vehicles and you just destroy the German automaker? Like that would just destroy Germany's economy. And they're not going to let that happen. So yeah, they're probably going to start forcing or coercing Chinese companies into partnering with German brands or United States brands in order for them to be allowed to move over to to other countries. I don't know where the delivery, let's see. Okay, so I wish I could find where the information about like how many electric vehicles were sold in Germany and different parts, but I'm sure it's somewhere on here. Not gonna find it though, too lazy. But yeah, so the company's improving over time, right? Kind of reverting back to the mean here, it seems. I mean, if you just look at this from like a technical point of view, I mean, it does kind of revert to the mean, and I think that's what we're seeing. So that's pretty good if it can stay consistent. That's why you see so many fluctuations here. And yeah, this definitely happened when money became less available, in my opinion. And there's numerous reasons for that too. But anyway, So do I think that other NIO is going to start partnering up way more? Yeah, I mean, NIO had to partner with the Abu Dhabi, right? And in the Abu Dhabi or in the UAE, there's a lot of Chinese companies that are going over there in order to partner. So yeah, if you want to expand your company into the UAE, of course they want shares of your company. That way they can at least they can have like an invested interest on your company's success financially. They can help bolster their economy. They can get both share price appreciation and equity appreciation on their investment, and they can have more technologies. And I think overall this is a really good thing, because I do believe in a globalized economy, and this is going to allow for NIO and other Chinese companies to just break into other countries and economies much easier. The transition will be so much easier. So I spelled that wrong. So Joe Biden is going to meet with Xi Jinping in the following couple of weeks, and that's a good thing because they haven't actually met up in person in years. It's only been over the phone, but when they meet up in person, they actually have to have talks face to face, and that's a really positive thing to build relationships. Joe Biden and Xi have also met on numerous terms and numerous times before, so I'm sure things will go pretty well actually. And Gavin Newsom recently went to China to inquire about partnerships economically and a win-win situation solution towards economy and towards climate change prevention, or like the transition towards climate change. So overall, I think this is really good. All this is really good for Chinese equities, but no one's really talking about these things too much. So yeah, so if Gavin Newsom visited Chinese last week to strengthen cultural ties between the Golden State and the powerhouse to engage in climate change discussion and boosting up their economies, then yeah, it's a really good thing for Chinese companies overall. Do we see a possible repeat where China bailed out the United States like we saw in 2008? It could be, right? In a new form, which gives China more power in the globalized economy. Last time when China bailed out the United States, that was the last straw to the US manufacturing. And now we could see it again, where China expands more into the United States in order to help the United States pay off its debts and grow its economy, which is severely lacking manufacturing jobs. So overall, I think there's a lot of news that I'd like to talk about, and I will probably sit down and put things together. And until then, I wanted to just talk about those two things: reducing the fat for employees and why partnerships with these companies are such great things. Okay, you need that. You need this. You need everyone to have an invested interest in your company's success. Okay, so with that being said, I hope you have a great